And welcome again to the Study Bible Study, where we study the Bible with Study Bibles. And this is our Manual for Men, session number 7. We wanted to go finish our look at lust from the last one and maybe get into a reading about gluttony. But first, a psalm of confidence. Now this would be, yet again, in some Bibles, maybe Psalm 16, and some Bibles, Psalm 15. But in this Bible, this is Psalm 15. This is actually what is this? Well, this is a Douay Rhymes version. This is a version from, I believe, 1792 or 1752, the second revised version of the Vulgate. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it said when I opened the cover of it a long time ago. But anyway, let's hop into Psalm 15. Now preserve me, O Lord, I have put my trust in thee. I have said to the Lord, thou art my God, for thou hast no need of my goods. To the saints who are in his land, he hath made wonderful all my desires in them. Their infirmities were multiplied. Afterwards they made haste. I will not gather together their meetings for blood offerings, nor will I be mindful of their names by my lips. The Lord is the portion of my inheritance and of my cup. It is thou that wilt restore my inheritance to me. My fate and my destiny lies with the Lord. When you believe him, follow him, and obey him like he asked you to. Now the lines are fallen into me in goodly places, for my inheritance is goodly to me. I will bless the Lord who hath given me understanding. Moreover, my reins also have corrected me till night. I set the Lord always in my sight, for he is at my right hand, that I be not moved. Therefore my heart hath been glad, and my tongue hath rejoiced. Moreover, my flesh also shall rest in hope. Because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, nor wilt thou give thy Holy One to see corruption. Thou hast made known to me the ways of life. Thou shalt fill me with joy, and with countenance at the right hand are delights, even to the end. Christ's future victory and the triumph over the world and death. Psalm 15. And what is grace? I'm glad you asked. Grace is to be favored by God. Grace is the acceptance of being renewed by God, the well-favor of God. Grace is God's mercy and kindness fully manifest upon you. Grace is God's pleasant and precious gift, not to be taken lightly. Grace is God's hand personally upon you. Grace will lead you to kindness and goodness in your speech and your action. Grace is God fully exerting his holy influence directly on your soul by turning you away from sin and over to Jesus Christ, in which Jesus Christ will guide, direct, and strengthen and lead you. If you choose to follow him, grace will put you on a path of righteousness, which brings you to joy through the love that God has revealed to you by being allowed to know him. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Okay, the remedies for lust. Finish our lust reading. See if we can remedy it through what whoever wrote this has to tell us. Now, the primary virtue that helps neutralize the vice of lust is temperance. From this cardinal virtue flow other virtues that help to regulate it: chastity, continence, purity, and modesty. God endowed food and drink, as well as the sexual union, with a noble function for the preservation of the individual and the race. The virtue of temperance, that moderation which reason imposes on every human act of passion, is one of the most necessary virtues in the spiritual life, for it helps regulate the strong inclination that we have towards the pleasures attached to these natural human functions. Why we have them, how we regulate them, and what they are for. Not to be abused or misused, but to be realized for what they are. Now, the object of such regulation is not to suppress them completely, but merely to control them according to right reason and the light of faith, rather than to be controlled by them. Fasting and prayer is a strong force to control these appetites of the flesh. But the virtue of chastity helps to control inordinate desires for sexual pleasure in accordance with one's state in life. Within the married state, the use and the enjoyment of the sexual faculties is not only allowed, but can also be virtuous. Even married couples must observe chastity, that is, abstain from any acts not in accordance with how God intended them to use their sexual faculties. For those who are not married, chastity demands that they abstain entirely from all sexual acts. Anything outside the covenant of marriage is a perversion of what God has intended for some of the deeds of the flesh. Now, practice of the virtue of temperance applies not only to physical acts, the sixth commandment, but also to the thoughts, the ninth commandment, the spiritual and the physical, the sixth commandment being the physical and the ninth being the spiritual. I'm guessing they're talking about the arrangement of it'd be the Catholic arrangement of the 10 Commandments. Because the ninth commandment is, thou shalt not bear false witness, where the other version is, thou shalt not covet, or thou shalt not steal. But anyways, it's good to kind of know both so you understand where everybody's coming from. We're all Christians because we follow Christ. But anyways, because of our disordered human nature, even the most virtuous person can sometimes be subject to a strong movement of the passions. This means that we must strengthen our wills in order to resist disordered movements of the passions that can lead to sinful thoughts or actions. Practice chastity in mind, body, and soul. We must be pure, we must be pious in our thoughts and actions in order to resist the temptations that our own human weakness, the flesh, and the world may present to us. Such purity requires practice in the virtue of modesty, which is an integral part of the virtue of temperance. Modesty, in turn, is ordered to chastity by clothing ourselves in a manner that veils what is most intimate about our bodies. We help to protect others from the potential sin of lust. Modesty also dictates our posture, the way in which we move and carry ourselves, how we look at and behave towards others. It is necessary to refrain from certain ways of acting, even if we have no sinful intent in doing so, because of the danger that may provoke lustful desires in others. Admittedly, because of the way men and women are wired, it is more often the woman who must practice the above discipline to protect men, but the reversal is also true. Well, I won't go into that subject yet, but it's an interesting one. It would be ideal if we could purify our society and culture so that there would once again be a sense of inherent decorum and modesty that would help people preserve chastity. But in the absence of this state of affairs, what can you do? One practical step you can is to closely monitor what you consume in the terms of the media. What you eat is what you are. You eat crap, well, what do you think you're going to be, right? Now, you must necessarily refrain from unchaste entertainments on television, in the movie theater, online, and in print materials. Especially dangerous is casual and risky use of the internet, which can all too easily lead to pornography. Again, in the past it seemed we had to go out of our way to be bad. Today it seems we must go out of our way to be good. The internet is one area in which you must take drastic steps if need be, including even removing it from your home if necessary, if you're that out of control and don't pray and fast and Learn to take control of the flesh before it completely takes control of you. Now you must also practice custody of the senses, thoughts, desires, and speech, for the old saying goes, the eyes are the windows to the soul. Therefore, carefully guarding what you choose to see can be extremely helpful in controlling inclinations too, lustful thoughts or desires. One might, however, protest that it is almost impossible to maintain custody of the eyes in this world filled with eroticized images. When one confronted with this dilemma, a servant of God, John A. Hardin, S.J., calmly remarked, there is a difference between seeing and looking. We see many things, but don't necessarily have to look at them. Looking involves a choice. Thus, you may see many things on the internet, but you must learn not to look at everything that is placed in front of you, especially on the internet. Be very wary of all those blinking lights in the background. Now, because the flesh is one integrated whole stimulation in one part of your body, it will overflow into other parts of the body. Overindulgence, eating rich, scrumptious foods, consumption of alcohol all have the potential to stimulate you erotically. Now, which can easily lead to lustful thoughts and inordinate desires. It is well known that even a small amounts of alcohol can lower the inhibitions, which then will weaken the will when lustful thoughts enter the mind. Developing self-discipline in matters of food and drink has enormous potential in helping control the urges for sensual pleasure. Now, in the body, that is why moderation of food and drink, as well as fasting and abstinence, play important roles in the battle against concupiscence. As St. John Cassian wrote, he then will never be able to check motions of burning lust who cannot restrain the desires of the appetite. And of course, the battle against inordinate desires of lust, spiritual means such as prayer, the daily examinations of our conscience, regular confession, and Eucharistic or adoration are essential. Taking communion in any form. But now it is very important to avoid morally suspect places, situations, and persons that place you in the occasion to sin. And it is wise to never trust yourself thinking that it will develop a well-developed spiritual life. And it is wise to never trust yourself thinking that a well-developed spiritual life or practice of a virtue will safeguard you from temptation. We all suffer the wounds of our fallen human nature, and overconfidence may allow the evil one to catch us off guard and trip us when we least expect it. And Psalm number 15, our Psalm of Confidence. Now preserve me, O Lord, for I have put my trust in you. I have said to the Lord, thou art my God, for thou hast no need of my goods. Christ's future victory and triumph over the world and death. Now to the saints who are in this land, he hath made wonderful all my desires in them. Their infirmities were multiplied afterward. They made haste. I will not gather together their meetings for blood offerings, nor will I be mindful of their names on my lips. The Lord is the portion of my inheritance and my cup. It is thou that wilt restore my inheritance to me. Now the lines are fallen unto me in goodly places, for my inheritance is goodly to me. I will bless the Lord, who hath given me understanding. Moreover, my reins also have corrected me. Till night I set my Lord always in my sight, for he is at my right hand, that I be not moved. Therefore my heart hath been glad, and my tongue hath rejoiced. Moreover, my flesh shall also rest in hope. Because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, nor wilt thou give thy Holy One to see corruption. Thou hast made known to me in the ways of life. Thou shalt fill me with joy, and with thy countenance, and at thy right hand are the delights, even to the end. This is our manual for men, and this is the Study Bible study, where we study the Bible with study Bibles. And Revelation 17:14 tells us, and these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall conquer them, for he is Lord of lords, he is King of kings, and they who are with him are called and chosen and faithful. God bless and amen. Take care.